one of the biggest challenges that you think would resonate with anyone out there that's thinking about starting a business, or maybe they just started a business, a challenge that you went through? Can you just talk about it? What you did to overcome that challenge?
I think the biggest challenge that has been in my business has been me.
How do you build your network, start those relationships, find clients? I mean, if you were to give one good piece of advice to somebody out there, maybe they're in a service-based industry, maybe they're in a products-based industry, but what type of advice would you give somebody that's trying to build that book of business?
Absolutely. My mentor, he said something to me on a car ride one time that kind of stuck with me. He looked at me and he said, "I want to leave this world empty. I want to die empty." And I was like, "What do you mean you want to die empty?" It's a random thing to say in a random car ride.
Yeah,
we're
it's really random.
It's very random. It's a past friend of mine. It's Frankie Powell. It's a great. I looked at him and said, what do you mean by that? And he said, "I want to leave this world pouring out all that I have, and so that I'm empty. And that would be my legacy."
Welcome to this week's episode of Bringing It Home, stories of hustle, homes, and high achievers. And today's guest is not only a good friend of mine, but also a successful entrepreneur here in the Charlotte area. I'm excited to be joined by my friend, Calvin. Calvin, thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks, sir, for having us on. Honestly, I've always admired you. I've admired what you've done, more so behind the scenes, being who you are as a father, which what people say about your character. Long before I met you, I felt like I've known you a while. We've had a lot of mutual friends, but I've really enjoyed kind of getting to know what makes you different, kind of see that back end. So it's an honor to be here today. So I really appreciate it.
Awesome. My pleasure, man. I'm excited to have you. So Calvin's the founder of On Purpose Agency here in Charlotte. He's an entrepreneur who's built a business that really helps people with their expanding their brand and a lot of different things. We're going to talk about it as we dive in today. So make sure you listen to the whole episode and hit that like button, subscribe. We put a new episode out every Friday with successful entrepreneurs, athletes, and real estate investors. So without any further ado, let's dive in, man. So Calvin, take us back a little bit, man. What brought you on the road of entrepreneurship? What got you started?
And I don't want to sound cliche, but I feel like sometimes if a life can choose you, I actually have never been able to do anything else but entrepreneurship.
Okay.
It's one of the, if I really want to tell a story, I grew up in a really kind of lower class in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I come from rough beginnings to where you had to kind of make your way into a city. You grew up around that type of stuff where you don't see a way out, right?
Yeah.
People in the neighborhoods that I grew up in, you have athlete, you get out by sports, you try to do something like pharmaceutical sales at a young age. We'll just say pharmaceutical sales.
Yeah. I think
those are the kind of people that are safer way to say it.
Yeah.
And it's a low kind of role. So I played sports within kind of how I got my way back out. But what that taught me is if you're gonna have a new life, you have to create for you. You can't just accept what the system gives. Going through school, I was told I would only be able to work at McDonald's. You're not a good student. Like I could pass any test without homework, but it didn't fit me. The system just couldn't fit me. So I actually didn't find my place in entrepreneurship until I transitioned into ministry and started to serve the local church. I was a pastor first that kind of learned about marketing and media to be able to impact people's lives, and the joy to serve and realizing that you could create that type of lifestyle within impactful lives. So I created the company at first to really just be able to help small businesses kind of launch and grow with other jobs on the side. And it started as like that, a side hustle. Then I had people tell me that, Calvin, you just don't really fit in the box. We're looking for like this box guy. And you're doing really good stuff. Like you're growing a company, but this is kind of like your job. Like you need to learn how to sit in the box. And to be completely honest with you, I just never been able to do it other than true entrepreneur, knowing that I am in control of my life.
Yeah.
Mindset that I'd rather make $40,000 a year of my own money than 6 figures a year. And I think what was the final determination that made me say this is the life I have to do? I worked for a large financial institution, one I believe we have the one in common.
Yeah.
I won an award for growing my book of business, so large and it was over $30 million, a very successful book of business, and got an award from Mr. Bages at the time. shook it. Then I got super excited, sat down at my desk with this nice award, and I had an envelope, and it was a less than 1% raise. Less than 1% raise. And I remember looking, and I remember calling my wife, and I told her, and she looked at me. She said, "Sweetie, I love you, but when are you gonna just do your dream?"
Yeah.
And I resigned that day.
No way.
I resigned the day I
You got the award. That's crazy.
And the beautiful, I was so happy. I mean, shake hands, you got the envelope, and I'm like, I've made it. But I realized in that moment that I would just always be a cog in the system.
Yeah.
And anything in this life, we were created on purpose. It's up to us to live on purpose. And I just felt like following the 9 to 5 and somebody else's dream or vision just wasn't the purpose I was created for.
That's awesome.
So just that kind of started that journey. And then from there, it's just 10 toes deep.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I think, one cool thing you talked about, briefly mentioned, was your started out in ministry. And I think, our last guest, Gavin Teague, had a similar story about, how his faith and his foundation kind of led him to success through entrepreneurship by having the right foundation. And so, tell me more about that, man. I mean, what you got you motivated to go into ministry from the beginning?
Yeah, I grew up in I had a kind of a little bit of a rougher bringing up, and then got into some trouble as a youth. 17 years old. Was one of those pharmaceutical sales reps, because that's just had the 08 kind of hit, and my family was in a really rough spot. At 14 years old, I had to do what I had to do to make sure bills were paid.
Yeah.
My sister had just had a baby. It was rough.
Wow. Yeah.
There was no good support there. 08, my father, we all know the market time, and that time laid off. Just really kind of a rough. So like anybody else, kind of in survival mode, I went to what I knew at the time. So I got into some trouble. And then, like I love to say, God is the best setup. I tried to be lazy. I said, you know what? got community service hours and probation. So I was like, you know what? Let me do this it's either animal control cleanup dog crap, or I could go to church, because I grew up around church. I know how to fake it. So I went to volunteer at a mobile church and do ministry just for community service. And my life was radically changed. I say that I grew up around religion. I met my faith in that time. And then I had so much of what was modeled to me was this gotta grow, this grind, this almost rhino mentality where everything is about you. It's a self-fulfillment, like this, just being selfish. But when I saw the transformation level serving other people, and my life was radically changed, I wanted to work and help other youth. We should probably share a little later on another time as my story. I had a very rough upbringing story, so I wanted to pour in a lot of young people.
Yeah.
Once I saw the impact of communities, I saw the impact of changing lives, I realized that success is never amounted to what you produce in your bank account, but what you leave behind legacy-wise.
Yeah.
Impact.
That's huge.
I'll tell you one thing, I've done amazing things in entrepreneurial stuff. I've been able to put my business on a NASDAQ tower, which was a dream, but there's no greater dream or no greater joy than when you see hope restored in somebody's eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you see that when you're on a mortgage, when you help that person buy their first home, they thought they could never buy a home. And then being able to see that glow in their eyes becomes addicting.
Oh, it's huge.
So
it's great.
It gives you something bigger than yourself. So dove into ministry. Me and my wife, I actually met my wife in the church. That's awesome. At 19. We started serving, had a good paying job at 19. I was making $70,000 a year. Again, at 19, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's good.
I was pretty good at sales, you know what I mean? Clearly, the only thing I knew how to do my entire life as a kid was sales. But we'll talk about how God refined all that. But, met my wife there, and we moved to Alabama, really started to dive into ministry work, doing mission work, helping plant churches around the country, as well as supporting ministry that did it globally. And everything was more so just impact people. How do you penetrate to impact people? And that service, and I love to serve, led me on that entrepreneurial journey to want to impact lives. And then starting the business I noticed during banking, 6 out of 10 businesses fail in that first 3 years, not wanting those dreams, those marriages that are getting divorced because of finances, really wanting to serve that. I just believe that there needed to be Christ-centered people in business. You didn't have to choose, was it behind a church? Because I did ministry, I spoke, I pastored for years, but every chance I got, I wanted to get out of the church walls.
Yeah.
Like
It wasn't like the calling.
wasn't the calling. I'd rather play poker at the bar with some guys. And that was my ministry. I'd play poker with them and they'd ask me random questions. I get invited at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're the ones calling me, but I'm the one at the bars. You know, we did a lot of that type of stuff. So always getting out was kind of that heartbeat, and this kind of just transitioned into ministry. That's why I believe that the life kind of entrepreneurship transition
kind of
fell into it because it's who I am at the end of the day, I believe.
That's awesome, man. That's huge. So we all know, you know, especially when you start your own business, there's always setbacks, there's always challenges. But if you could think back to one of the biggest challenges that you think would resonate with anyone out there that's thinking about starting a business, or maybe they just started a business, a challenge that you went through, can you just talk about it? You know, what you did to overcome that challenge?
You know, I think the biggest challenge that has been in my business has been me.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest.
No, I mean, that's a valid point.
If, you know, there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of hurdles, but entrepreneurship is the most self-reflective thing you'll ever do. Especially starting out, I could look at a lot of times where I faced challenges. A lot of times it was something within myself that needed to grow within self-development. And I would caution anybody in the challenges, it's your greatest gift can also be your greatest downside.
Yeah.
What I've learned from that was I'm a hard worker. You put it in. So I love people like Mike Simmons. We always text each other super late at night because we're working on.
Yeah.
We see each other.
Mike and I text late at night.
I see you text in the morning. I'm sorry, Trevor. I didn't mean to text you. Like, no,
you're good.
But it's So I can always work within that, but getting in the mindset of grind without self-care and actually taking the time to realize that you need to be in a solid place not to get into survival mode. Because you could start going from, now I wouldn't change when I first started. I would wake up at 4:30 in the morning, read my scriptures, do a little bit of work, kiss my wife, go to work. I get off at 5 o'clock, I'd have dinner. 8 o'clock, I'm back in my computer till maybe midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. You have to do that. You have to have hard work.
Yes.
If you want your dream,
agreed.
It is going to cost you everything. But the biggest challenge is realizing that it is more important to become who you need to become than trying to build a business that you can change your reality from. Because a lot of times we want to build something so that we could see ourselves in a different light or see that we could do all of our dreams without realizing that overcoming the challenge within, which for mine was the ability to overcompensate. Like I would always try to stretch myself at every single opportunity.
Yeah.
So what I realized was I'm sitting here doing motionless impact because I so badly want to prove to myself I can do it.
Yeah. Spread yourself out with too many things.
And because you
didn't do one really well, you did 10 mediocre.
Overstretched with you. So realizing that, taking that step back to protect what I need to protect within myself.
Yeah.
That way you don't grow into a survival mode, because if you put yourself in grind too long without self-care, you start going into survival mode. And then those lines in the sand that you get tested in this business will test you. So I think that was the biggest challenge for me, was realizing that I need to learn how to farm stuff than force it. Early on, I was forcing everything. Let's meet. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I could do this sale, but realizing 3 months in, you're looking at like, man, this is not the best sale to be into. Why would I put myself in this situation? They're happy, but this was a bad deal just because I had to prove something so bad.
Yeah.
Just be patient. This too shall pass. The successes and failures, tomorrow's coming. A new day's coming. So I think the challenges of not overreacting, being fast but patient at the same time.
That's good.
That's
huge.
Those are the biggest challenges, because that would have got me out of a lot of immature decisions and mistakes that I made. Because I'm so fast and what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I mean,
I hits I didn't need to.
Always, go. I think entrepreneurs all similarly, most entrepreneurs are going to share that mindset, as far as that mentality. But I think that's huge because, one thing that I was taught, I don't remember if it was as an entrepreneur or it was, in my early on in my sales career. But, when you get into that survival mode, you can, a lot of people start to cut corners, right? Yeah. Because then there's not a life. There's not a family there anymore. Now it's a paycheck. And now you can start to cut corners and do things that may compromise the business and the integrity of the business. Absolutely. So I think, dude, that's huge. That's a really good ad. So, for anybody that may not know, what exactly does On Purpose Agency do? What do you guys focus on?
Absolutely. And we shifted our focus over the years from, we originally started out as a full service marketing company.
Yeah.
Now with, technology changing, AI changing, a lot of your SEO, a lot of your kind of website stuff, we transitioned from that a few years ago because we kind of saw the shift in the trend of where things were going. And the whole thing we've always wanted to do was be able to connect with people and be able to empower their businesses. And we don't like to charge fees just to charge fees, right? We want to empower people. So we transitioned fully into programmatic advertising. So what we do is we work with brands, companies, public figures. We've worked with national brands like that. We've worked with presidential candidates like Vivek Ramaswamy, Brett Baer, Fox News, a few other, and then mom and pop shops and everybody in between. And what we focus on is being able to help grow their story, bring brand awareness, but also laser focused advertising. So for what it may look like for the roofers, hurricane season, we just started some really cool ad campaigns. When a storm hits, for instance, we'll launch a digital billboard campaign that educates people, get ready for your storm. We're giving away free assets. We're doing local TV ads at houses that are homeowners that are in the target radius with the actual salesperson that's going to knock on a door. That way, that's how very similar things like that.
Yeah.
We're a full-scale advertising firm that touches anywhere where there's a digital screen. We have our own proprietary software that allows us to bypass media owners and buy on demand with first rights of refusal. So we're able to outbid. One of the good things we did was we actually kind of got in trouble during the first political debate with in Milwaukee because Vivek's campaign went so well. We outperformed every other RNC person in the area, and we were just simply looking at competitors trying to bid and forming the campaign, and they were just upping their budget so they can outbid them. So having that type of real time, we do a lot of, we work with companies from a branding type of perspective, but what we do on the consulting side, I like to say we have two tiers of our business, is a lot of like wartime. I like to call it like wartime.
Yeah.
Because if you're needing to drive into a certain campaign from multiple focus, where we're going to be the full service to get the leads down, lower part, but also work in a consultative way to give you all that data to take to your sales team, to be able to close the gap from conversion rates. Our data helps kind of pull that through, but we are your partner in anything digital advertising.
Okay.
Kind of TV. We do radio, TV ads of that nature, but anything digital we focus on.
Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. So when you first started On Purpose Agency, or at least when you found your stride, how do you build your network, start those relationships, find clients? I mean, if you were to give one good piece of advice to somebody out there, maybe they're in a service-based industry, maybe they're in a products-based industry, but what type of advice would you give somebody that's trying to build that book of business?
Absolutely. My mentor, he said something to me on a car ride one time that kind of stuck with me. He looked at me and he said, "I want to leave this world empty. I want to die empty." And I was like, "What do you mean you want to die empty?" It's a random thing to say in a random car ride.
Yeah,
we're driving. Really random. It's very random. It's a past friend of mine. It's Frankie Powell. It's a great. I looked at him and I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, "I want to leave this world pouring out all that I have, and so that I'm empty. And that would be my legacy." And it really shaped me because I started to look at things differently, and I wrestled with it for a few weeks. But it changed to where I want to now get into every relationship or every conversation looking to add value. If I can add value, if I can help connect the right pieces, but the thing about that, you can't fake that. People can tell if you're trying to just, you have to authentically, care, try to make an impact. And if you can leave them with an impact and make them feel good, feel like you've made a deposit into their life, they'll let you come back to they'll invite you back and introduce you to people. And the next thing I would say is not just care, but focus on learning how to solve problems. Yeah. If you solve the right problems, and I can tell you right now, I can name some of our largest clients, and not one of them did we close in a traditional sales process. It was either a fire drill, problem solve situation where we solved a problem, got the right respect, and then now because the higher you get with certain caliber of people, they have their guys. Yeah. I'm going to make a phone call, and then it's going to get resolved. So becoming that person to not panic under pressure, so always looking for solutions, but being a student of the game. If you're a student of the game and really study this, like when we have our conversations, you're like, we can think of different people who want to connect and stuff like that. Yeah. It's because we understand, the longer you're getting this, kind of understand the journey of how lonely it could be.
Yeah.
It becomes part of your way of like giving back. And if you authentically have that, people want you around.
Yeah.
It becomes almost natural to the point now that we actually still don't have a sales team, Trevor. I don't have a sales team. I have some affiliates that refer, but we are strictly referral based. Now we're launching a sales team in 2026 just because of scalability. But we had to build a bigger internal team just because of the referral base grew so large just because of that. Once we started sharing with people and they know what we're able to do, and then from the campaigns we're doing, and then just be frank, we deliver a lot higher than what most people are delivering. We're looking at numbers from a mutual company that we know from their CPM. I mean, we're able to almost cut that in half, and then target. Not just that, we're targeting households that they're paying for renters, and they're a company that only targets homeowners, and they're paying for rent. Why would you waste your money there? So not only do we deliver great product, but we are growing because of who we are as a culture. People just referred us because of doing the right thing and caring. So I think that's the first thing I would say is find out how you can add an impact to every conversation, and you'll be surprised what fruit you'll get from that.
That's awesome, man. No, I think that's huge. I mean, and not from a selfish intention, but when I first got into sales, one of my, I don't know I think it was a sales manager or something at the time, taught me, that give to get, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more you give, the more people will intentionally try to help you back. And it's not always the same, right? I mean, if I refer somebody out to a marketing firm or I refer somebody out to a roofing company or this or that, like that might not be a referral today, right? But I'm on their mind.
Yeah.
So down the road, when the conversation comes up and, mortgage, I got a guy here, call my guy. So I think that's huge. I think that's a big tip, and I think you really hit the nail on the head. One of the biggest things that I see with entrepreneurs, with salespeople, is that authenticity is huge, and true empathy goes a long way. Even if you've never been in that scenario, we can all understand what it might be like. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, the good part about it is you're in control of your paycheck. The bad part about it is you're in control of your paycheck, right?
Absolutely.
So it's always a bit of a roller coaster. But on this journey of entrepreneurship, I mean, especially as a previous athlete, right? So you're a high level athlete. As an athlete, as an entrepreneur, how do you keep yourself motivated to continue to show up every day?
I think faith is big for me. I think that is probably the greatest thing that's helped me. Even because on this journey, you're going to have those moments to where it gets you in a dark place at times if you don't have the guardrails up to learn. And I don't think you get those guardrails until you get to those darker seasons, right? So you want to learn, but some stuff you have to experience. And what got me to show up is not just faith and the determination to get through it, but it's discipline.
Yeah.
It's understanding that discipline replacing with how you feel. And something that Robert De Niro said that was amazing was, this too shall pass. I had to teach myself that the bad days, the dark seasons, the days that I don't know how we're going to make it through, and the peaks where everyone's cheering you on, both of those will pass, and you're going to catch yourself at a laptop at 11 o'clock at night writing an email, because that's the true part of entrepreneurship, is the lifestyle you choose. So being able to ground myself to something, you have to have something to ground you, especially something like entrepreneurship that is such a moving target. In 11 years, we've had to refocus our business so many different times with COVID, with the new technology, with all these different things. I mean, in the mortgage areas, with the markets, the goalpost is constantly changing. So if you don't have something to hold on to, you're going to,
you got to be grounded.
You got to be grounded. So that would be huge, and understanding things will pass, and then just discipline, because what you're trying to build, it has to be bigger than yourself. This is what I'm leaving to my family. This is for my wife. So even when Calvin doesn't want to show up, On Purpose Agency shows up because we have clients. We have staff that need us. We have a community that we want to impact. The dream is bigger than ourselves. So as long as you could keep your perspective, and then always revert back to your why. If your why is a paycheck and money, there's some of these battles you're not going to make it through, because
I can attest to that.
You can walk and go get a paycheck somewhere else. Trust me. There's money can't be the reason. You have to have that why. And because those were if you look at all the original, the Rockefellers, Carnegies, they made all their money, but they wanted to make an impact legacy wise.
Yeah.
All the business titans, they've always talked about what they were trying to do and leave and big. It was always bigger than them.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, like him or not, what he does, again, like him or not, what he does is always talking about something bigger than himself.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to be great at anything, if it's sports, if you're watching this and you want to be an athlete, you have to show up because your teammates need you.
Yeah.
It's just, I play football and hockey, so a lot of times it's easier when you have 50 people around you sitting here saying, come on, come on, come on.
Yeah.
Definitely get some people around you too that you could call, get some good brothers around you, get some good women around you that can hold you up in those moments, because it gets out there. But
I love that. That's huge. All right. So since we were just on the topic of motivation and keeping yourself motivated, if you had to pick, and I know I'm 100% sure there's a million of them, you can name many titles, but if you had to pick your favorite book as far as for entrepreneurs, what would you pick?
I believe Start With Why by Simon Sinek. The reason why is you have to, because in a lot of the nights in this journey, been on this over a decade, the thing that got me out of some of the ruts, some of the battles, or the decisions when you're making those hard decisions that you need a paycheck, right? Because this is you need a paycheck, and contract, does it line up best with morally, or I work with political campaigns. I've worked with some of these. It depends on your industry. Sometimes you're in some rooms. Sometimes a lawyer, you're in some rooms and you're like, is this really who I want to work with, right? So depending on the trade, being able to have that why that you go back to as your guiding post, that's what you revert back to. That's what you hold on to when you don't see the progress, because the why has to be bigger than the problem, right?
Yeah.
So that would be the first book. And then you've got, if you want practicalities on a short thing, the 38 Letters from Rockefeller to His Son's a great book.
Yeah.
Really short stuff. I'll listen on an audio book multiple times.
Oh, dude, Audible is my way to go.
So there's a lot of different ones, but I think from something that you could build a business plan around is your why. And that's something that should never change if you're discovering your purpose, because we see how technology goes, where AI is 10 years from now, the whole business structure can look different for multiple industries. We don't know where things are going in some aspects of it. And there's a lot of industries that are concerned right now. But if you know why you live your life and purpose, you're going to be, because you're going to continue to build off of your why. And even if it's a major setback, because trust me, I've had to strip my business and come back for this new shift. But we did that because we noticed in the beginning that we had shifted from our why. And despite momentary success, it wasn't our why. So we stripped. That's awesome. We stripped that.
Not great that you obviously had to start kind of restart things, but it's great that you noticed that, because I think a lot of times, especially when you're at a peak, right? You're seeing that higher level of success, but you've deviated from that why, or you just don't have that balance. A lot of people will continue to ride that out.
Because success will trick you, because you start thinking in that way. Success is a very tricky. It sucks a lot of people in a bad way. I've watched, success get to a lot of people. Personally, it's gotten to me for some time. I've had that, and then that high moment, I realized that I wasn't being authentic to myself.
Yeah.
And what is momentary success, or what is success if you're not at peace? And again, it's not like the company wasn't good. It's just the type of work we were doing. I was never home. I put myself in a position to where my family had taken a complete back seat.
Yeah.
So there's a few shifting we did. We kind of had to move some business stuff around within that. But I will say one thing. Once we did that, and I allowed customers to say, hey, this isn't the best way forward. So in 6 months, we're going to let you transition. We found another company that love to work with you. And everyone was like, you're giving away accounts. It's so dumb. But I can tell you right now where the growth is from that time period to now. It's the greatest decision.
Yeah. Sometimes now we've got to do it.
We're growing authentically, and it's been great. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah. So what's next? I know you mentioned 2026, going to build out a new sales team. Any other big goals or projects for On Purpose coming up that you're excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been working on some really fun, very large kind of brand activations. We have a couple brands. Again, we're doing another Times Square takeover. We have another 7 brands
nice.
that are going. So what we do is we set up, photo shoots, video shoots, play their screens across the NASDAQ, a lot of the larger screens, help them launch their kind of a brand story, get that content, reuse it kind of for TV ads, kind of play out some of these. So we've had the ability to kind of grow into that a lot more. We also are extending our partnerships within some NASCAR teams.
Okay.
Because what we do is sponsorship promotion, especially if you spend a lot of money in sponsorships to be on a vehicle or to be on something, you want to be able to maximize that. So how we maximize that is making sure everyone that's listening to the race, watching the race on TV, are around the track. They're seeing everything.
Yeah,
so
that's
they're seeing
awesome.
The digital
that's
billboards,
huge.
the venues, the TV stuff. So that being able to cross within that, we've had some really good relationships in NASCAR, but we kind of had a contract that kind of limited us to just a couple teams because you have to do what you have to do to break into the industry. But now we have the ability to kind of work with any team now. So I'm really excited about that. And our biggest thing is to just continue to develop out of our software.
Yeah.
Because before we did a lot of this digital billboards like DOOH, which is anything standard retail-based screens.
Yeah.
Now we're full-fledged into like live TV. We're able to target
streaming
your live TV stream. Because a lot of times when people look at streaming, it used to just be like Hulu, Netflix, and you could skip the ads. Well, where things are now, you can't skip the ads. They're actual TV. And, 7 out of 10 people are using streaming-based services to watch TV, like DirecTV, Stream, Spectrum. So built out that software and we're completely out of debt with it. So
that's awesome.
So now we have the ability to fully advance, get the strong sales team kind of built in.
That's
really
huge.
Look at growing because our goal is we want to help the businesses that thinks you have to be a Fortune 500 to do stuff. If you want to do digital billboards, play in the movie theaters,
make it available for everybody.
We're making it available for everybody.
That's awesome.
We cut out the middleman because we don't have 2 other people that need to be paid.
Right.
Direct the source. And I'm just honest, I've never met somebody that we've helped make more money off their advertising that didn't invest more. So we'll focus on keeping the strong relationships that we have with our clients. And again, just look at kind of growing from there.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I'm excited about it. So just to wrap it up, one quick, rapid fire question. Yep. I know you're a big morning routine guy. Mm-hmm. What's one thing in your morning? And I'm not a big believer in you have to have this morning routine to be successful, right? But in your morning routine, what's one thing you can never go without?
Daily scripture.
Daily scripture, man. I love that. That's mine, actually.
It's because there's a lot of, just your greatest strength, I believe I've learned could be your greatest weakness. And
yeah.
I think that's the dependency upon God that we need, and He puts that in us. Because I'm very strong. Like I can, not saying the boastful way, but I have no problem going through the door first, trying to be the one to make the decisions. But that ability to humble myself in the beginning of the day, do the Bible reading, put the humility in, it resets my day and helps my day stay on purpose. And the working out, the coffee, I can name the other things in my routine, journaling, all that different stuff. I don't feel a miss in my morning routine with any of those other things, like the daily Bible. If I miss my scripture in a day or a couple of days, I could tell that impact. So that's that thing for me, because again, it's something bigger than yourself. And I think if you can humble yourself and start your day.
Yeah, start it off right.
You could walk out into and it helps put things in perspective.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much, man. I think that's a huge fit. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Calvin. Man, it was so great to hear about On Purpose. I'm excited for you guys and what's going to happen. So anybody that's listening, maybe they have questions about digital marketing. How can they find you?
Absolutely. You can find us online at onpurposeagency.biz, or on social media as On Purpose Agency. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. But also, I'm sure I'll be tagged in on this. So please feel free to email. We'll put our information on the post, or reach out to me personally. I'd love to connect, love to just have conversations with other entrepreneurs. And that's the largest thing, is just being able to do this journey together.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if you guys have marketing questions, make sure to reach out to Calvin. Even if his agency doesn't do what you're looking for, I guarantee you he can help you find somebody that does. So thank you guys so much for joining us again. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, got a little bit out of it. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for the next episode out every Friday. Thank you for joining us on Bringing It Home.